A very good morning, student. Our session of Advanced Financial Management, that is IBFS. As far as our previous session was concerned, in the last session, I introduced a new chapter to you, that is leasing. Actually, we started our third unit number 3, under the first chapter was started, that is leasing. Now in the previous session we have discussed about the introduction, meaning and elements of leasing. Today we are going to discuss about leasing mechanism. Normally the main evaluation of leasing is based upon the following 5 parts. A legal requirement, a lawful requirement of lease is defined by following 5 different points that we are going to discuss today. So under that first one, it is about legal aspect. You will surprised to know that there is no separate law for lease in India. Yes, there is no separate any law, any act for equipment leasing in India. The provision relating to bailment in Indian Court Act govern equipment leasing act also. So whatever the provisions are there for the bailment act, contract act, the same provision will be levied for the leasing agreement. So as far as the Indian Contract Act is concerned, the person who is delivering the good is called bailer, and the person to whom the goods is delivered is called bailee. So here we are giving the name as the person who owns the assets is known as leaser, and the person who is using that asset will be known as leasing. And here good is transferred or replaced as equipments, any assets or any machineries. So the basic condition, the first condition for this act, that is leaser has to deliver the assets to the lessee with the legal authority for the use of the particular assets. Here leaser means the owner of the assets need to deliver, need to pass the right. And which right? The right for use of that assets to the lessee. Lessee, that is a person who wishes to use that particular assets from the leaser. So first provision of the Indian Contract Act, that leaser need to pass the right of use of assets to the lessee with the legal requirement, with the legal act. Then after second one, now there is an obligation for lessee, and that obligation is to pay the lease rent as specified in the agreement between the leaser and lessee. In the previous session we have already discussed that there is a legal contract between leaser and the lessee, and in this legal contract they are going to specify the name of the owner, the person who wishes to use the assets, then after the assets which is available for the lease, then after the lease time period, and lastly the amount for lease rent. So here now it is a duty of lessee. It is a duty of our lessee, that is to pay a regular and a proper lease rent which is specified in a lease agreement to the lessor. If lessee fails to pay this kind of lease rent to the lessor, then lessor is going to take a legal steps towards lessee. And the another provision, it is about the return back of the equipments. At the end of the maturity period of lease contract, when the lease contract is going to be matured, at that time it is an obligation to lessee, that is to return the equipments or machineries or assets to the lessor with its original condition. So now it is totally based upon the person who are taking care of the assets, how they are using the assets and for which purpose they are using the assets. So these all are about the legal aspects of lease. Actually, there is no legal contract, there is a no law for leasing services in India. But as far as the Indian Contract Act is concerned, we are going to follow the Bailment Act for the lease. Here, the bailee will become lessee and the bailor will become the lessor. So these are the basic legal provisions for the leasing mechanism. Then after, the second one, that is income tax provisions. There are few provisions who directly affect the income of lessor. Actually, the owner of the assets enjoy the lease rent from the lessee, and that lease rent will become his income. So here, income tax provision is also applicable in lease agreement or lease contract. The lessor, as an owner of the asset, can claim depreciation on investment made on lease asset. Basically, lessor is the real owner of the assets, and when he passes the right for the use of that particular assets to the lessee, at that time the owner, the lessor, has a right to claim for depreciation on that particular assets, because owner is investing his money for the purchase of that particular assets. So he has a right to claim on depreciation. Now here, lessee is not going to claim for the depreciation, because lessee is not investing a single penny for the purchase of that particular equipments or for that particular machineries. Lessee is just using the assets in a proper manner, while lessor invests a huge amount for the purchase of that particular investment. So here, the claim on depreciation is going to be made by the lessor. Lessee does not have any right to claim on depreciation. The next point, lessee can claim lease rent as an expense as tax deductible expenses. Yes, here a right is given to lessee, that is to claim on depreciation in which he is paying the lease rent to the lessor. If the lease agreement is for long period of time, so at that period of time, lessee has a right to claim on a lease rent as its fixed and long term expenditure to get the benefits on the tax. So here a right is given to the lessee. And last point about income tax provision is the lease rents received by the lessor is an income by the lessor and they are taxable. Actually, lessor does not get any benefit on the income which is received by him, and that is by way of lease rent, because it is his commercial activity. He is doing the business of lease. He is doing the business of leasing of equipments, machineries and different assets. So when the business income arises, so at that time the whole income is purely taxable. Now the lessor does not get any benefit as a part of lease rent because it is his pure income. Then after the third point, that is contents of lease agreement. Here we are going to discuss the main contents which is mandatory for the lease agreement. The first one, that is a full description of the lessor. In the lease agreement, it is mandatory to mention the details of lessor, that is his name, his official address, his postal address, his business address and so on. Then after the full description of the lessee, again a full description of addresses and other business related information is mandatory for the lease agreement. And again lessor need to give a full description of the equipments which is there for the lease agreement. Here the equipment, the machinery which is available for the lease, or we can say that when the lessor, then after place of lease rental payment, by which mode the lease rent is going to be paid by lessee to the lessor. Then after place and time of equipment delivery, at which place and at what time the equipment is going to be delivered by lessor to the lessee. If there is a domestic lease, then there will be a no question for the place. But if it is an international lease, then the lessor and the lessee need to take care about the law of different countries in which they are belonging. The next provision, it is about option of lease renewal. Yes, the contract is available for the renewal, but the renewal is totally depends upon the types of lease in which the lessor and the lessees are there. Each and every lease is not renewable. Only a few type of lease, they are available for the renewal. Then after, lessee's responsibility and rights. In lease agreement, it is compulsory to mention the responsibility of the lessee and the rights of them. Then after, lessor's right. Here again, lessor's right is going to be there in a lease agreement. The next one is return of equipment on the date of expiry of agreement. When the lease agreement is going to be over, so at that time, how lessee is going to return the equipment to the lessor is going to be mentioned earlier in the lease agreement. The next one, that is maintenance and repairs of equipments. If the lease period is for the short period of time, then the maintenance and repair is there with the owner of the assets. So the lessor bear the maintenance cost and repairing cost of the asset. But if the equipment is on lease for the long period of time, suppose it is for 10 to 15 years, then the whole expenditures of maintenance and repairs is going to be borne by the lessee, because lessee is using the asset for the long period of time. So it is his duty for the cost of maintenance and repairs. The next one is insurance to be taken by the lessee on the behalf of lessor. Now when the equipment is transferred to the lessee, so at that time lessee is taking the insurance policy of the particular assets or of the particular equipments, because for short or long period of time he is the only person for using the assets in a proper manner, so that the insurance policy belongs to the lessee. So these are the main contents which the lessor and lessor need to include at the time of lease agreement, because at this period of time both the parties are clear about their duties and responsibility, about the assets which is available for the lease. The fourth mechanism is procedural aspects of leasing. Here, the steps which a lessor and lessee need to follow at the time of entering into lease agreement. Under that, the first one is lessee visits the vendor or the manufacturer and select the equipments. Now here, first and foremostly, lessee is going to visit the lessor's place when the options are available to them, when the selection of equipments, when the selections of machinery or the selection of fixed assets is there with the lessee. At that time he is selecting the best equipments or the equipment which is useful to them. So first and foremostly, lessee is going to contact the lessor for the selection of the particular asset. Then after, the lessee approaches the lessor and negotiates the term of lease. After selecting a proper equipment for their commercial purpose, the next point will be when the lessee is approaching the lessor about the negotiation of the different terms and conditions of the lease. Here the negotiation is done for the lease rent and for the lease time period. Then after, the lessor and lessee agreed, signed the lease agreement. After a proper negotiation between lessor and lessee, they comes to a mutual point that which equipment is available for the lease, at what rate, means at what the lease rate, then after the time period. So when the mutual agreement is over, then after there comes to a formal agreement, that is a legal lease agreement. In that, in a writing, they are going to describe themselves, the description of lessor, the description of lessee, the description of the assets, the amount of lease rent, the lease time period. Each and everything is there, and it must be on the basis of formal procedure. Now, after completion of the legal lease agreement, the lessor is going to transfer the right for the use of that assets by delivering the equipments to the lessee. When the equipment is transferring, when the lessor is transfer the equipments from their place to the lessee's place, at that time the lessor is going to transfer the right for the use of that particular equipments. Now the equipment is with lessee. So now it is a duty of lessee, that is to get the insurance policy and enters the insurance policy in the favor of lessor. The insurance policy will be in the name of lessor, but the lessee is going to enjoy the benefits of that insurance policy, because for the near future lessee will be the person who is using that particular assets. Now lessor is not going to use the assets because he is transferring the rights to the lessee. So it is about procedural aspects of leasing. Then after, the last one, that is accounting treatment. Now as far as in a formal situation, in a formal agreement, lessor is going to mention the equipments in their account as a lease asset, and the lessee is also mentioning the same asset in his account as a lease assets. But the entries, the effects of these assets is quite different as far as the ownership is going to be considered. Under that, the first one is the equipment is purchased by the vendor. The equipment is in the ownership of the lessor. So it is known as a capital investment of the lessor, because lessor is a person who is purchasing the asset, who is investing in the whole assets. So the ownership of the assets is in the hand of the lessor. So the title of ownership remains with the lessor only. So now lessor is going to give an investment in their books of accounts. So in the balance sheet of the lessor is considering as an investment in the equipments or machineries, because he is the only person who is investing in the amount of any equipments or machineries. Then after, second point about accounting treatment is the lease rentals treated as income in the books of lessor. So as far as the P&L account is concerned, lessor is going to mention lease rent on the credit side of P&L account as an income from lease rent, and the lessee will treat as an expense, and that expense is a lease rental expenses. So in the books of accounts of leasing, the lease rent will be there on the debit side of P&L account because it is an expense for the leasing. Then after, the next point is about the depreciation. The claim on depreciation is going to be made by the lessor because he is the real owner of the assets, and day by day the value of the assets will be deteriorating because lessee is using the same asset which is invested by the lessor. So lessor will charge the depreciation on that leased asset. So lessor get the benefits on depreciation of that particular assets or machineries. So these are the main points for the leasing mechanism. I hope you all are clear about each and every points. So here I am ending our session of IBFS, that is Advanced Financial Management.